All right, Scorpio. Oh, I just got chills. I was about to go in the order. I did Leo's already. And I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Mm, ain't really feeling Virgo right now. They not really want to be fucked with, no way. And then it was like, well, fixed. Do the fixed signs. And I was going to do, the like Leo, Aquarius, Virgo, Pisces, and just go back and forth like that. I don't ever just stick to one particular order. But again, Scorpio is like, it's not even audible. It's like a honing in type of energy. It's like spatial awareness, and then it comes into a fine tip or a fine point. And that is kind of piercing, is the sensation I was getting without, well, I won't say without the pain, because as I was doing the pre-shuffle of the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot, um, there was the Queen of Cups, and then there was the 7 of Cups, and then there was the Queen of Pentacles. So it's like something being so not far-fetched or out of reach, but it becomes very, very real all of a sudden. And that's the sensation I was getting. Once you start to focus in on something very specific, the reality of it coming into being is too real or too in your face. It's one thing to be an apparition or something imagined or even seen in the dream state or lucid dreaming or while meditating. It's figurative still. And when that thing is right in front of your face, something you couldn't fathom actually existing or being a part of your reality, it's like, oh, it's real. It does exist. It's like, damn, I'm more powerful than I thought, or fuck. This could be where some people desire things so deeply that they kind of chase the idea of it coming into being, simply because they know what it is already, and they're having an expectation that they should have it. So something else, to have seen something, or in your mind, or even in your heart space or in your spirit space, to feel like you've created something that doesn't exist. It's your own little creation. So it can be as outlandish or as extravagant or as detailed. It's your creation, right? So you wouldn't expect it to be in the flesh. And it's as if you're being met with your own making, something of your own doing. And because between that Queen of Cups and between that Queen of Cups and that Queen of Pentacles was the 7 of Cups. And in that particular deck, she has on a veil, almost like a mask face covering, right? But it's veiled. So whatever's spoken, whatever's said, or whatever, even in your in the silence of your mind, the caverns back there, your own voice is echoing off of those caverns. Everything that you desire, everything that you say, every conversation you have with people who aren't listening, the shit's being manifested. Because you're not so seriously in control of how it turns out, not expecting the actual outcome. It's just something you're doing. It's just something you're thinking. It's just something you're feeling. That is manifestation. It's very simple. But then to see it in your everyday life, a practical manifestation of something that was intangible, in the form of a person, in the form of a place, in the form of a thing. Are you ready for what you created? It's been a few days since I used these cards. A couple of days. And for that to come out, this was in the Leo reading. The vow, Thanatos. That's a, I don't like that name, Thanatos. And the king. I want to read this middle one. Death. It is, how quaint. It is tempting to oversimplify death and sum it up as transformation. But the true archetypical resonance of Thanatos cannot be easily assimilated or contained. Death is ongoing and omnipresent, an eternal response to the gift of birth. Witnessing the ending of another being, creature, phase, or stage has deep consequences for the psyche. We are forever changed by Thanatos as it sweeps us under its wings, making us relinquish control in every form. It leaves a mark of ash upon our heart, signifying we have touched the cusp of the underworld and will return to the land of the living eventually, with more compassion and wisdom to share. This capacity is needed in our world. One who has faced the annihilation of Thanatos can face anything. When this card appears, it signifies an initiation into the underworld. Grieving, mourning, bearing witness to all that is. Fear or insensitivity to old age, illness, and the dying. Okay. I dig it. And I say that because what I'm seeing here is a reconciling. We have the dead end, simply put. I mean, this is very fucking specific. Thanatos is signifying death itself. But death happens every day in every form. It happens with our seasons, but it also happens with us leaving jobs. It happens with us saying goodbye to somebody and not realizing we may never see them again. And not maybe instantly losing them to death, but by the time they do pass on, you wouldn't have seen them up until that point. Old friends, neighbors, people who used to frequent places that you frequented, and they may pass, your thoughts across your mind, but in a real sense of or the real sense of things, even online presences. There are some people who have been supporters of others. There have been tarot readers. There have been these personalities, and you see them, and then one day you don't. And it's a form of death, whether in a physical manifestation of it or just a figurative one, like this is the end of their road doing this thing, and you don't see them in that capacity again. It is a form of death. And some people take that to heart without realizing it. But in a very literal sense, change happens when you're in the presence of this very real energy, okay? And I can honestly say, being in that energy, witnessing certain things with your very own eyes, or to come to the realization this thing is alive and then it's not, in the matter of moments, it gives you a different way of loving other people. It gives you a new wave of appreciation, of gratitude, of actually knowing that everybody's hourglass is ticking. All these sands are going to run out sooner or later. And who are you in that time to whomever you encounter? Some people just don't give a fuck. And they excuse it with just them being them, and they'll do whatever. And that's fine. But it's so many people like that in this world that I'm nothing like that. And that's a personal choice. So if I encounter somebody and I give them greatness, it's because I want them to have greatness. I want them to have the energy of real, genuine encounter, real, genuine love, right? And this is a personal type of vow. It has nothing to do with a person, but to life itself. Why? Because I respect death. So because death has my respect, I won't put people emotionally, mentally, or physically in a harmful energy to get them closer to it. That's not aligning to me. If I value life because I respect death, I'm going to treat life differently. I'm going to treat people who are living differently. You understand? That's just a personal type of context that I could put that in. The vow itself. There's hands being held here. All of those phases, and it's not even different phases in this card, but it's departures, because simultaneously we have the entrance of so many people, so much life, so much this, so much that. So as old things start to run their course, new things begin their course, and that's just the nature of shit. So here we have the king. Oh, my nail polish almost matches. So I like this depiction of the king. I don't know why I said that. It doesn't take me, and it doesn't influence a certain feeling or anything in particular. But the hand is open. It's not clutching, but it's open. And this is real king shit. Okay? Not to hold on so tightly as if it will evade you. It's more like an offering. Okay? The vow could be here, where that clutching energy, okay? Because some people do that when they take vows. You'll be my best friend forever. Or, I'll love you, I'll love you till the end of time. And these are vows. Mm-hmm. And it's not wise, because then when you reincarnate and you're reliving this lesson with a person, and they're actually have come back as somebody that you detest, could you keep that vow? Message. So with the king, it's about knowing when to resign, when to recede, when to pull back your forces, and even in the spiritual sense, to use death in its highest good. And people do fear, I'm looking at the webbing here, people do often fear spiders and things like that, because they just see them as these scary ass creatures, or they always think about them getting bitten, and the things that they're doing away with while they're minding their business are keeping you from being inundated with these little things that get caught in their webs. So it has some good and it has some scary to it, and that's no different than this subject. But I do feel that there is some reconciling with vows long overdue to be re-examined, because something that you have been wanting to bring life to and implement is coming in. and it may not have the room. So something has met its end. It has met its match. It has run its course. And this new shit that you've been manifesting and thinking into being, feeling into being, it'll be put right in front of your face. And when it is, what are you going to do? Are you going to embrace it? Or just feel like it's, I don't know. What are you going to do? Are you going to feel like it's actually yours? Are you going to recognize that you had a hand in it? To feel like it was so subconscious? No, you're conscious of this though, because you've flirted with it. You've felt, the wind past your face. You know how real it is without having seen it. So when you do see it and you recognize it, how are you going to treat this thing? So we have the root chakra on top of the vow. This has been quite the issue, this vow. I'll never love another, or I'll never blah, blah, blah. I'll never be without something to do with this vow here is it was made from a certain stance of knowing. And where you are now, you know a whole hell of a lot more. So the vow doesn't equal the now. And with this Thanatos death card, we have the heart chakra. Because the king, these manifestations, third eye. There's something that you have seen beyond sight, something that you've come into familiarity with, especially on your astral travels or in your meditations or even in your when you're zoning out. There's been energies and answers that you've come into contact with. Now check. This card is the vow, and it's sacral with some solar plexus energy. And it's like the decision was made, but it was made from a specific space, and it kind of binds you at the root. All this darkness here, though, like these aren't phases of the moon that change and show some type of reflection. They're very, they're like holes. Gaps, pits, right? But the vow is so strong. It's like, especially in this time, being forced to go through all those pits and those holes and those falls in order to fulfill the vow. When you're really done, you're really done. So coming up out of that energy on the lower end and raising it above to this space here, it can really do what death does and purify it in the heart space. When people mourn, because I did feel it when I saw the Queen of Cups and I saw the Seven of Cups. I felt it here in my heart space. And I was like, okay, so what's that about? And then I saw the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Cups to me, and I know these readings are a little different than the others I've done, because it takes me places, it takes me different places, right? And the other cards take me to certain levels, and these take me to a different level, or allow me to reveal those levels, those layers. The Queen of Cups is a part of everybody, right? But not a lot of times shown, not a lot of times fully realized. okay, a lot of times is kept safekeeping. What came to mind was tower, like a safe place. Let's keep it out of sight, out of mind, out of harm's way type of energy. And especially if protecting a vow that is outdated, there's something about that specific heart space with the Queen of Cups that has been connected to this vow for so long that it's now it's really starting to warp in perception. It's starting to really, it's like, what are you protecting? What about this heart space where this mangled, twisted type of vow, what is sacred about it? Because it's so old? There's a sense of wanting to be free of it, though. There's a bird trying to leave the scene, trying to soar and transcend this connection, this vow. And it's like a person who has Scorpio energy, like this deep, like their word is bond, right? So in making this vow and making these bonds as strongly as they are, the only thing that could kill that and let it meet its true death. And yeah, it's giving me, True Blood type of vibes and stuff. Meeting the true death is to let it go through the heart, because that's a place of purity, and things that were made, the intention by which they were made, it's really looking like a stronghold. It's looking like stability, this tower-like type of inhabitants of locking away, throwing away the key. No one can ever touch it, because like it's like giving it away to something or someone specific under something that wasn't actually solid to begin with. It was made at a dark time, in a dark way, and the intent was to bind, not combine, and we're doing this together. It was to bind, and in doing so, it affects finances, it affects your stability, your home, your safety. You always feel like there's something looming, someone watching, like you're like it affects someone else whom this vow was made with. And they may not uphold the vow, but if you made it with them or said this to them, you're holding yourself to the vow, because your word is bond. So now when you have word, and it's not put into the air or vocalized in that manner, but still manifest because you feel it in the very same space where before you recognize what's happening, that vow is dying because you've outlived its course. You didn't think you'd see the day when you'd be able to get out of this vow. It's literally that death, till death do us part. But if you keep reincarnating, you keep living it. The true death. The only thing that would cancel it would be a connection, a vow, not even a vow. Connectivity. These are more hands in this picture. And it's not that grasping. It's really light. But its intention is this heart chakra energy, a place of purity, where feelings that are in the sacral, they change. If they come here and they're purified and the feeling is still the same after it's been purified, you know that even in the sacral space, your feelings are aligned and they're on point. But the heart space will transmute all of that energy. It is a vessel. Once it goes past here, you start to transcend into higher realms of thought, feeling, etc. And when it's on the lower end, just the physical world that you can see, taste, smell, a person that you can see, touch, hear, a vow like that is not founded. That was my stomach. Sorry. A vow like that wasn't founded in a place of true knowing. Like, each incarnation is different. Your circumstances are different. Who you are is different. Nationalities, lineages, all kind of shit, right? So how dare you make a vow on a physical type of condition and then be forced to come back and relive it over and over? That's a disservice to your fucking self, right? You're coming into that on a spiritual tip. The shit is happening on a soulful level, not just spirit, because in the last incarnation, your spirit was different. Your soul is the same, but you had different personalities. You were a different person living a different life, having a different whatever. Okay? So these physical conditions have changed drastically. Even if it were in this lifetime, you are not that same person who initially made this vow. So now, when you encounter, it's still it's shaped oddly. It's not perfection, but it's very smooth. Something, you can hold. You don't have to clutch onto or grasp like that. You know what I mean? Now, this is where the understanding comes in. And the king finally has a new vow to make. He has different awareness, the different ways that it can manifest. And it's being shown, like, with the energy of the hangman, this 12th energy. It's taken a minute, because one this vow has those colors, but it has this diamond here. Okay, cool. But this pearl is more precious, considered to be more precious, because of the process it takes. It takes for something to die to create something that lives. Hanging around your neck. It was created in a living being. You know what I mean? But then there was death involved too. And it's like, okay, well, damn, life and death, the shit is all the same. We don't have one without the other. And I'm not talking about, trying to get morbid or anything like that. But what I'm saying is to really see in all these different shades of how solid a foundation can be, how unstable it can be. There's so many variations of the way that people have lived just in their last 2 decades, 3, 4, 5 decades. They have gone through so many damn different stages that vows they made when they were 15 are no longer valid when they're 35. There's a whole lot of transition and change and dying of ideas that happens. It's because your heart is being refined along the way. I spent 30 minutes talking about 3 cards and 3 stones. I'm not gonna take up too much more of y'all time. All right, that's it. Okay, so we have the Ten of Cups. This is the one that was drawn. This is the rough draft of the Ten of Cups for me. It's not the complete realization, but the gist of it goes with what I was sensing with the Queen of Cups, Seven of Cups, to the Queen of Pentacles, to actually make real something that has been in the imaginative, the emotional space, something you can create, the feeling you can feel that you haven't yet felt, what a happiness like that would be to you, right? And the first thing out was strength. And it's like, fuck. When it comes to what has already been manifested, what has already been brought into being, and no longer aligning with that, well, Ace of Wands. It takes a spark like that, a boldness within your own soul to reveal to you something that you didn't know that you wanted or didn't know that you desired in this manner. And because it's so aligned with where you're actually supposed to be going, and you don't resist it because it's in your mind. Nobody knows that you're thinking it, and nobody knows that you're feeling it, and no one knows that in your mind's eye you can see it. That makes it so much more satisfying because it's your own. Like, on this Ace of Wands, on her mind is that Tower, not stuck in the root chakra, and just being this blockage and being this anchor and being this weight. But high-mindedness, the king energy with this Ace of Wands is showing like a satisfaction beyond belief. There's so much freedom, especially in this Nine of Cups. It's open. There's no clutch. There's no, even in the Strength card, this is one of the Strength cards where those two energies are one. And she's not prying, the mouth open and trying to shut it down at all. There is a sense of freedom. 8 + 1, 9, and then we have a 10. So this is traveling. Again, that astral travel energy is really coming to me. So then these two cards fell out, and they were the Two of Pentacles and the Emperor. This is something that the king has been through with the vow. A person who's in this position now with this Scorpio energy, to see those promises that they've made. And even if another person promised something, they know that they've not stuck to those promises. It's not about holding yourself to those promises, even if they didn't. And feeling like if you change your mind about something that you promised, because you're the only one actually holding it still, that it's something wrong. That's the difference between this king energy here and this emperor. Because sometimes being the emperor, even if they have their mind changed, there's so many people that they're having to prove their word to and still uphold things, even if they have a change of heart, that is seemingly impossible to make a different decision. And Two of Pentacles, having to keep it up, having to make sure it stays current, having to make sure, nobody's checking in, like, are the feelings still mutual? You still feel the same about that thing? What about now? I know X, Y, and Z have happened. What's your stance? They just expect to be getting the same that they've always gotten. And there's this emperor has seen something. They've seen something. This is like a scrying crystal. They've seen something that has allowed them to not just have a change of mind, but a change of heart. So when certain things come up, especially when it concerns death or losing something, even if there was no vow attached to it, if it's something they truly love, they will look at the vows they've made, promises they've made, things they've bound themselves to in a very physical, tangible, anchored way, and reconsider what it means. So these are two different types of energies coming through. What can be had, what a person can have, what, because it's coming and it's showing itself. And it's like, well, fuck. This is that moment I knew would come but didn't know how to handle. The world. Something to take another look at. The world itself is a death to an extent. In the typical Rider-Waite tarot, it looks like a birth. It looks like a woman inside of a womb. But it indicates endings of, or long distance, it's worldwide, it's international, it's so vast, it's so broad. It can be internet, World Wide Web, different stuff like that. Being world renowned, we think on such a big, grand scale, but something so simple as being a bringer of death to things that are no longer serving not just them, but you too, is a different kind of freedom. When a person is a messenger or a bringer of death, and not to human life, but to everything that is not truly living, but should be. It's a different form of transition. It's a different form of transmutation than you've ever known, than you've ever seen. It reminds you that you're still alive because it brings death of something that no longer fits what you've seen for yourself. So now the things that can no longer abide or hide under said vows on the chopping block, they're in the guillotine and they're about to get beheaded. It's like over with, right? But in that same knowing, fuck, I know what I want, or I see this thing coming into fruition. Something that I just thought was an imagined, thought up, made up sense of freedom and happiness. And it's right here now. That means something gotta die in order for me to get it. And the only things that are left anchored and left bolted and left bound are these vows. Well, shit. A person not actually doing anything, not actually causing anything, but just their presence alone, being of the world. They're very much alike this emperor, but in a different way. They're not bound. They just are. And so you've manifested this freedom from vows you've made that are outdated. And you have a bringer of death right in your face. That all they did was exist. And because you saw them as life, now you know what must go, what must leave, what has run its course. The time has run out on certain shit. And it's just this person is such a reminder that you still have so much to live for and so much to do. And this person has come as the form of a mistress, aka teacher, right? Or a mister, a mystic, just in energetic form, physical form, but it was an energy influence that brings about making something imagined very real. Because why not? You're living. Why not live? Why hold on to death or something that is decrepit already, that belongs to the crypt keeper? A vow, something very, very old, that it has cobwebs, which means you don't use it, you don't touch it. It's unwanted, but yet it's still sitting there. The World and the Nine of Cups are here. This Ace of Wands and this Two of Pentacles reversed are here. Energetically, vibrationally, the choice is simple. It's not a toss-up between two or having to juggle them both either, because this is where the alignment comes in. The real alignment, where you don't have to toil so much, where you don't have to be bent out of shape or contort yourself in order to make it seem as if it's balanced, because it isn't, and it hasn't been for a very long time. The vow itself has always been a challenge in maintaining, and so this dead end is here. The moment a person allows Thanatos to do its thing, they have a different sense here. That root chakra stone, being so rough, will go through the heart space and be refined, and the things that are to be manifest will be done so rightly, will be done so in favor, in a different type of order, where the emperor doesn't have to look as if he didn't stick to his word. He can make sure the words that he speaks are what they are, without binding or having to stake claim, but are so true and are so right and so on point that they stand on their own and resound without anybody having to feel obligated to keep doing them. It'll just be so right that it'll be an alignment of doing. It will not be a force. It will not at all be a force. This is why the hand is outstretched. And this palm stone here is refined and engraved. So all the way from the root chakra to the crown, everything that they stand on physically, and that they're in, and that they're doing, and that they're seeing, and that they're touching, and that they're a part of, aligns with every single part of their being, from flesh, spirit, mind, all the way to the soul. So there's certain things that have to stop now, that cannot go. It's picturesque. They're all pictures. But this is this may be the vow. But in the realization that it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't founded on something solid. Courses change, but the vow has still been the same. And it's been the most difficult for the emperor to actually keep it together. There's no fucking stability around him. It looks just like this. It's been rocky, it's been uphill, it's been a battle ever since making that vow. So I'm going to leave it there. And I'll see you guys next time.